Howdy, winemaker Tim here, reaching out to you from beautiful Napa Valley, California. Got some kids playing in the background. Hope you can deal with it. Hope I can deal with it. It's a better one. Anyway, I'm down here on some business, helping some wineries out, doing some different things, having a good time. But one of the things that happened while I was here is I thought I had to come give a little rant about it. So I'm driving through Napa because it's lovely, and I see this little winery I haven't seen before. So I decided to go in and give it a check out. Like, hey, what the heck, just stop in and say hello. And I walk into the winery, and this queen of all holiness, who must be something really special, walks up to me and says, "Excuse me, do you have an appointment?" And I said, "Nope. It's a Wednesday afternoon. There's no one here." I didn't say that, but I said, "No." And she goes, "Oh, well, if you don't have an appointment, we can't see you." And then I look up and notice there is a $100 tasting fee. Now, this is not an old winery. It's been around for less than 10 years. Pretty new. And I'm like, $100 to taste your wine. I need an appointment. And then I'm looking through the place, and there's not another person there. Not one person. And I get it. Look at me, and I think I'm some blue-collar schlub that's not going to buy wine or appreciate wine. I get it. Biases and all that. But no one there. Wednesday afternoon, and you're going to say no? And your vaulted special wine that is so amazing that it's only been around for, I think it's like 4 years, suddenly needs to be charged $100 for me to have the privilege of tasting. And I was taken aback, and I said, "Oh, that's okay. I'll be fine. I'll move on down the road." And I was like, as I move on, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, we talk about inclusivity in the wine industry. How is it inclusive? The crows agree. How is it inclusive that we are charging $100 a head and saying, "Do you need an appointment to taste wine at my 4-year-old winery?" I'm sorry. What are we doing? What are we doing? This isn't going to be how we fix things. I don't know, but wine has historically been the drink of the peasants. It's been something that's easy to make. It's easy all you do is grow some grapes, you crush it, and then let Mother Nature take course, and it turns into wine. That's just what happens. And it's something that we've enjoyed throughout all of human history, probably going back somewhere around 10,000 years. This isn't like some new thing. And it's been a part of our meals. Fermented foods are really good for you. And wine can be a part of that healthy diet. And what Robert Mondavi really did, being in the spirit of this place, is he was the one that kind of said, wine is a part of family and friends. And it was something that everybody got to include in. And I think that's what always wine was about. It wasn't exclusive. It was inclusive. It was part of the meal. We were including it with meal. It wasn't food and wine pairing. It was just what we did. It was part of a culture of just enjoying food and friends and family. And we've gotten away from that. Whatever this is, whatever this $100 a tasting, whatever elevated, high fashion insult you into buying a bottle of wine thing is, that's not what's going to bring people to the table. And so that leads me to, how are people even responding to this? So I've got some old guys that are good friends in my life. I'm thinking about my friend John Fusco in Walla Walla right now, who's making wine because he refuses to pay $80 for a bottle of cab. So he goes and buys top-end fruit from a couple of great vineyards and makes wine at his house and then drinks it and has it with his friends. And Johnny's doing just fine. My friend Ken LaRose is the one that blows me away the most. Italian guy from Trail, British Columbia, drives down to Walla Walla because he doesn't like the red wines in British Columbia. Also, Canada has done such an incredible job of making any wine outside of the country so unaffordable, it protects their industry, incredible tariffs, anyone, that he won't pay for the wines there because he doesn't think they're any good. So he drives all the way down to Walla Walla every year and brings fruit back. He's been doing this for like 15 years. I've been helping him out. But what blows me away is that when COVID hit, they changed the rules for no apparent reason, just some bureaucrat with a pen signing off, saying you could no longer bring in 1,000 pounds a person, or I think it was like 500 kilograms a person. Now you can only bring in 20 kilograms a person per load. So I admire this man, so much admire his dedication. Anybody who loves to poke their finger in the eye of the bastards at this level is sheer honorable to me. He comes down and gets 1,200 pounds of fruit, meets 50 of his buddies at the border, and they all carry Safeway sacks across of wine, of grapes, to make a barrel of wine every year that he can drink and have with his family and friends. That's because wine has always been, common drink of the peasants. Now, there has been some that's been really special from special regions that over decades, if not centuries, has proved itself to be something special. But just because you were a lawyer, a physician, or hedge fund manager in a previous life doesn't mean your wine automatically is exalted to being worth $100 tasting fee. And so we are pushing people out left and right. We are not allowing regular Joes to engage who can barely afford a $400 a month goof up if something goes wrong. That would be devastating. And then we're being so exclusive and doing so many things to our wine that we're pushing Gen Z and millennials out because the snobbery of it all is just not really worth engaging in. And then what we're really failing to do is talk about how wine is the most natural, most sustainable beverage that there is. We work, and the wine industry works incredibly hard. I've been working with a great winery that's doing a lot of sustainable stuff up here. They are doing vermicompost. They're creating their own mycorrhizae. They're creating all these pathways so they don't have to put chemicals or anything in their wine. They're trying to do it as naturally. Now, it's not biodynamic because they're following their own system. They're following science, and they're following ways to make wines that are just truly from the land. And that's amazing. And what we're not doing to the younger generations is saying, hey, this is a stable beverage that's really good with food. Fermented foods are really good for you, regardless or not. I know the push against alcohol is huge, but if we were to distill down, pun intended, the number of people that actually get sick or have liver failure from wine compared to spirits or beer, I'll bet you that number is pretty small. Because, you're not pounding bottles of Chardonnay on the weekend. Well, some of my friends are, and I'm looking at you. I know you. I see you. Anyway, but they're not doing that. It's you have a glass of wine with a meal, and it's part of the meal. It complements the meal, and it brings family and friends together. That's what wine's always been and what it's supposed to be. And instead, we're making this luxury product out of it. It should be something simple. And I think Robert Mondavi really did it best. He just said, this is a simple drink that everybody should be able to have access to, that we should all have friends and have with family. And I think that's great. And I would love to have the rest of us carry that message on that, hey, this isn't this high dollar thing. And I get it. The economic pressures, I look at the cost of living here. I see why people are charging what they're charging. All the money's come in, and it's pushed a lot of farmers. It's pushed a lot of people out. So I get the tension. But as an industry at large, we got to figure out, how are we going to engage people if we're going to grow our audience? How are we going to build a bigger tent if all we're doing is complaining and trying to make wine more exclusive? Anyway, point being, I'm glad I had that first rant. I'm glad it's touched a lot of people's nerves. I've loved your comments, and I would love to hear where you think we can drive the wine industry to make it more inclusive. How are we going to get younger people to enjoy and appreciate this beautiful, magical beverage that ties us to the earth and brings us together as people? How are we going to do that? I'd love to hear more, because right now, whatever we're doing, it ain't it. Anyhow, love y'all. Have a wonderful day.